What if I told you that today, in the year 2018, we are still dealing with slavery? You might be wondering how. The answer is human trafficking. Learning what human trafficking is, ways you can protect yourself and loved ones, and even help identify victims of these crimes can help bring more awareness to this global crisis. As a young woman and aunt to several nieces and nephews, it's startling to me to know that this crime happens not only in other countries around the world, but also in our backyards. Human trafficking uses fear, intimidation, and murder to silence its victims. Therefore, bringing awareness to this horrible crime can not only prevent future occurrences, but help provide more resources for victims. Let's begin by confirming what human trafficking is. The Department of Justice defines human trafficking as the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for a labor of services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of subjection to involuntary servitude, debt bondage, or slavery. That's a long definition, but basically what I mean by coercion is oftentimes captors will use threats against victims' families to get those victims to feel trapped and to feel like they have no choice and that they have to do what they're told. Let's identify these victims. From an article written by Watts is the signs that you can look for when you're trying to identify a victim. He basically says that 54% are women and 24% are under the age of 18. Majority of the victims are women and children. They can be unsuspecting tourists, locals, neighbors. It could be anybody. Let's move on to where. Human trafficking has been reported in over 152 countries. It's happening in places like hotels, airports, restaurants, sporting events, conferences, and truck stops. Something these places all have in common is, although they're very public places, they're also places where people tend to let their guard down. Now let's look at potential ways to suspect victims of human trafficking. From an article by Watts entitled Healthcare Professionals Learning Signs of Human Trafficking, he points out certain characteristics that most victims do express. These characteristics are nervousness, depression, submissiveness, and inability to make eye contact. Another sign that healthcare professionals or even just everyday civilians can look for is often captors will mark their victims' necks or the inside of their mouth with a tattoo. As people of God, we understand that we are to love our neighbors and to protect the weak, and this modern-day slavery is a violation of the rights we are born with. Let's wrap things up. Let's start by raising awareness for this hidden crime. I suggest having conversations with loved ones and family and friends, and just getting the awareness out there that this could happen to anybody, and ways to prevent it by not traveling alone. And if you are traveling alone, take somebody with, or have somebody check in with you, let them know where you are, what times you're supposed to be places. Just always have a heightened sense of awareness wherever you go. There is a hotline for anybody who suspects human trafficking or has been a victim of human trafficking, and that is 1-888-373-7888. Thank you, and God bless.